Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Mike Kay and then Bo Wolf.
Hey, Nick, with the way the offense has kind of been uneven over the last 5 weeks, do you guys plan on divvying up different responsibilities with the way you guys have handled the play calling the first 5 weeks, or the first 6 weeks, excuse me? And then how important is this self-scouting process during this quote-unquote mini bye?
We're going to continue to do the things we've been doing as far as play calling and game planning. We feel like we have a good process there of how we go through it. I am fortunate that on this staff I have guys that have experience calling games, which is helping me throughout games. So we're going to continue to stick with that. You got a lot of confidence in that, and we got to execute and do better. But confident in our process there. Your second part of that question again?
How important? How important?
Self-scouting. Self-scouting. I got you. That is each week, even on a normal week, we look at our self-scout, and we're constantly trying to think, particularly more so than anything, our run pass ratio within different looks. Now we've been heavy passes, as we all know. But we always want to get that closer to at least 75%, never be above 75% in anything, because we know that's where defenses really look at that and make plans off of that. So we're looking at our self-scout. We have more time, obviously, this week to be able to not only go into the run-pass ratio of things, but also into marrying some plays together, and also go into just what you do well as a team, and what your identity is as a team, and who you are as a team, and what you've succeeded in as a team. And so that will be, sometimes on a normal week, or even on a short week, you don't get the opportunity to do that as much. With these extra 3 days that we have, we're looking at that. That'll be we just watched the game together. We just got done watching the game together. I'll go up there with the defense, get with the defense here, get with special teams after that. And then we'll be on to that self-scout as an offensive staff, as a defensive staff, as a special teams unit.
Go ahead, Bo and John McMullen.
Hey, Nick, were you a part of the conversations on Tuesday between Howie and Zach about what was going on with the trade? And then, what was sort of your message to him during the game last night and once the trade went down this morning?
Yeah, I was obviously aware of all that. My message to Zach was, obviously, I was just grateful to be around Zach, the type of player Zach is, the type of person Zach is, the type of leader Zach is, and was grateful to be around him. And we shared a moment after the game yesterday, and Zach was emotional. I was able to go talk to him after that and just let him know what I thought about him as a person and as a player, because I got so much respect for Zach Ertz and everything that he's done. He's a tremendous worker. He's out there working all the time on his game. So no surprise he's had the success he's had, and he leads by example out there. And I've just enjoyed getting to know Zach Ertz, the person. Obviously, seeing him play a ton of games, and I've seen him, like when I first got to Indy, we watched so much tape on him and saw the player that he is. But just to get to know him as a person and as a teammate, and as I just valued that and wanted to make sure I said that to him, and wish him nothing. Wish him nothing but success in Arizona.
Did you make a concern to get him that touchdown last night?
No, it's just the way that play came up. I'm glad he got the touchdown. I truly am. We just wanted to score in any way we possibly could, and that was our number one call on the call sheet. It just so happened to be going to Zach, just because we felt like it gave us the best chance to score. But I'm happy that he got it, and he was able to score in his last game here as an Eagle.
Go ahead, John and Martin Frank.
Hi, Nick. To kind of follow up on Zach a little bit, your first core value you always talk about is connecting. You guys seem to develop a pretty close relationship pretty quickly, always talking before practice and things like that. Just from the leadership standpoint, to lose a guy midseason from your locker room, how does that affect you guys moving forward?
Yeah, I think it gives opportunities for other guys to be able to step up in that leadership role. What I think's great about this team is that we have guys that know how to work and know how to lead and know how to practice. And so, yes, you're losing one guy that knows that and can lead that way, but we do have other guys, that have been here and have won a lot of games and know how to lead as well. And it's not like, you just lose Zach and then you lose everything that he's done in the past, right? He's still left a legacy of how he worked and how he led for other guys to follow and step into that, kind of like, say it like when a guy gets injured, or somebody has an opportunity to move into his role as a player. Well, that's the same thing here. So a guy leaves and somebody has an opportunity to move into his role as a player, and somebody has an opportunity to move into his role as a leader. So look forward to the guys that will step up and do so. But like I said, there's a lot of guys on this team that have won a lot of games here, that know how to practice and know how to work and know how to lead. And so we'll continue to lean on those guys and look forward to seeing the guys that are just getting into the building or just somewhat new to the building, see how they develop as that leader as well.
Go ahead, Martin, and then Josh Tolentino.
And Nick, obviously, you being a new coach coming in, I mean, Zach Ertz being a guy who's been around for a while, like it could have been pretty uncomfortable with you if he didn't handle it the way he did. I was just wondering, like, if you kind of, can describe what that was like, coming in with a guy who might have been disgruntled, might not want to be here, and just the way he kind of handled everything, just the way he kind of like professionally, went about his business.
Yeah. You just, I think that's just who Zach is. And so obviously I appreciate that as a first year head coach here, and that he's a pro, right? And that's how he goes about his daily business each and every day of, just working like crazy to get better and making the most of the situations that he has. And I definitely felt that, I know Zach and I started to get close just with just with our love for wide receiver, tight end, route running, how to run routes. So that was an instant connection. I've talked about that before in the past. Like, yes, core value number one is connecting, and that's so important, and it's why it's the number one goal. But you start that connection because you always start that connection as a coach player because the player believes in you that you can get him better as a football player because you know what you're talking about as a football coach. So that's kind of, that we shared that similar passion and that similar love for the game. That's where our, we were able to see that we can help each other, and that's where our relationship was able to grow. But as far as, like you said, I think that's just a great point by you, Martin, that, that it was a difficult situation coming into it, and he handled it like a pro because he is a pro, and not just as a player but as a person. And so much respect for him and the way he handles his business. And so it's no surprise that he's the type of player he is. It's because he has it all. Like, he has talent, and then he also has the ability to work and the ability to be in the moment and do everything he needs to do to get better as a player.
Josh, and then Tim McManus.
Hey, Nick, 2 replies ago, you referenced, players needing to step into Zach's role now. Since your arrival here, from your perspective, what was his impact specifically on the tight end room, and what happens there moving forward now? Yeah, obviously with Dallas, and then, Tyree on the men.
With the tight end room right now, just because we had 2 tight ends that we see as really good tight ends, right? That were sharing the load, right? And I think if you look at the stats of our tight ends, and if you look at those together, that if one of those guys was having, if you take all Zach's targets and all Dallas's targets and you put them into one, right? You got pretty impressive stats right there. And that would be up in the tops of the league for with the tight end. So So as far as that goes, is like, okay, now you got Dallas. It's going to take a major portion of that load of targets and of plays, and obviously that, you know, they were sharing that load. But look forward to also, so a majority of that, as we know, right, because of the way we feel about Dallas is going to be on Dallas's shoulders. But we also feel really confident in that room with Jack Stoll and with Tyree Jackson coming back. Noah, that we just got back here. We had familiarity with Noah from, I know this organization had familiar with Noah because he was here, and then obviously Coach Michael and I had familiarity, and Coach Petullo and I had familiarity with Noah being in Indy with us. So we feel really good about the room and the depth of the room, and that we can just let them grow also and take some of those plays up and look forward to them stepping up and making plays. But no doubt the majority of the looks, right, is gonna go to Dallas. So look forward to his role growing, and then those other guys too, just picking up the slack as well.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Dave Zangaro.
Nick, after watching the tape, what stood out to you about the performance on offense?
Yeah, it was really the lack of execution on first and second down that didn't extend drives there in that first half. We were, it's obviously, again, it's always execution, and it's always our ability as coaches to put them in positions to succeed. It's just the ultimate team game. It's never going to be, hey, it was just execution, or hey, it was just the play calling. It's together. And so it was just again, when you're 3 and out or 4 and out, whatever, when you're that many in a row in the second quarter, right, you're not getting the ability to sustain drives for different reasons here and there. So it was just really like, and you look at the second half. Again, it was a little bit into midway through the third quarter. You look at that, you're like, okay, that looked good, and it was a lot like Carolina, but it started slow. The first drive was obviously really, really good. You go down and get points, and then there was just this lull, and we were just not good enough. We were just not good enough on first and second down, and then just obviously being 3 of 10 on third down, that's nowhere near acceptable in our standards. And then you had an opportunity at the end of the first half to be, to at least go down 21-10, right? And we had 2 opportunities. Defense did a good job of getting us the ball back. We had the 1-2 minute. Then, we had the 1-2 minute, and then we punted it back to them. We got a stop. We got an interception, and then we had the other 2 minute, and we didn't come away with points. And that's where we had been. That's kind of where in the Carolina game you went down and you got points at the end of half, and it really gave you some momentum going in the second half. And we just didn't execute there in that 2 minute for different reasons. Again, putting them in the right position, making the right read, giving the time for the quarterback to deliver and make the right read. And so, it was again, when you play the way we did, it's never on just one person, and we all got to accept that responsibility. We all got to be accountable for that, and we all got to get better from that.
Dave and Zach Berman.
And Nick, with the trade of Zach, do you have to worry at all about the appearance that the team is a seller before the deadline, and that this year might not, that the expectations might not be as high because of it?
No, I mean, again, I just know what we think, like in this building, that we're trying to win every single game. We have all our goals are still out there in front of us, and that we're trying to win as many games as possible. So again, like I said, look forward to Dallas taking some of these, getting a more bigger load out there, and then also the tight ends that we have of stepping up, and we feel good about that room moving forward. And our mentality is exactly the same. We're going to see, again, I can't think 10 games from now. All I can think of is how we fix this game and what we're going to do to win the Las Vegas game, so we can be 1-0 this week.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, Nick, 2 player status questions. First, Tyree Jackson. It's been 8 weeks since the injury. Is he close to practicing and returning to play? And then second, is there more clarity on when Lane Johnson will return?
Yeah, with Tyree, he's still in his rehab process. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. Don't like to put timetables on that, but we're looking forward to getting him back out there and practicing when he's able to. No new update there with Lane either.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Rob Motti.
Yeah. Hi, Nick. Last night, Jordan Mailata mentioned that it seemed like Tampa knew kind of what was happening with the offense and that the team was a little slow to adapt to making change. How do you react to that?
Yeah, really, with what they were doing and what they were seeing, right, I think we threw out some new formations to them that they hadn't seen before. I think that a couple of things that they did, particularly in the zone read game, was to do a couple different things with the defensive end and the linebacker, which is why we ended up getting to some of those outside zone runs with Miles. But some of the times you can't see one play and say this is exactly what they're doing. It's just like when you watch tape of a team. And you watch you watch a couple plays on tape, even like this is before you even go into game plan. You can't just watch a couple plays and be like, oh, this is what they're doing, and devise your whole game plan for that, right? You have to watch the body of what we do is 5 games, right? Give or take. Like some situations we watch an entire year or 2 years worth of. But you have to watch that and play that out before you devise a game plan and say, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket. Well, it's the same thing when you adjust. Like, okay, they played the zone read a certain way the first time we ran it. Is that what they're going to do every time? To say, hey, abandon that and go to this, like that's hard to do. You got to get a couple sample sizes of it. And not every play you're going to see that. You're going to see that on zone read type plays, like to see that. So I'm not saying that you go 10 plays before you make an adjustment, but it has to be more than 1 or 2 before you make an adjustment. I thought the offensive coaches, with some of the adjustments that they made, that we made as a staff, were pretty good. Like with some of the runs that we got to. Again, you're playing in different ways at different times, but again, that's just been my experience that. You don't also, like what I'm saying, I don't want anyone to misconstrue this. Like you don't say, hey, I'm not changing until halftime either. You change once you get enough sample size in there to say, okay, here's how they're playing, here's what we're identifying it as, and we move forward. So that was our decision on how we did that. And again, like I said, I thought the offensive staff had a couple nice adjustments yesterday to get us some good plays based off of how they were playing some of that zone read stuff.
We have time for 2 more, so we'll go to Rob and then Jeff Mosher.
Hey, Nick, how much of what you do on offense is your scheme, your philosophy, regardless of who your quarterback is, versus how much of it is catered specifically to what Jalen does best? And do you feel that there are some limitations with what you can do based on what Jalen can do best?
Yeah, well, I think like when I sit and talk about the zone read, Rob, it's like, okay, well, we didn't do that last year, right? We've never really been in a system that has done that because we hadn't had a quarterback like that. So it's a little bit of both. I think a wise man avoids all extremes, right? It's not like it's like, hey, here is our offense, learn it and do it, and if you can do it, cool. If not, we're gonna fail. Like it's not that way, and it's not like, hey. We're going to do it everything that you do well, and we're going to scheme it all through it because you don't know. Like when you try to go and do something, Rob, like when it's like, hey, I'm going to devote everything to this system right here or this style of play right here. Well, you might not know everything there is to know about that either, right? So it's a both and. You want some staples that you have in your offense, that we've had in our offense for a long time to be there and to be existent. If our guys can execute and do it, but then you also want to adapt to your players. So I know I'm saying both because it really is truly that, Rob. It is both. You want to adapt to what they can do, and you also want to do these things that your staples a little bit, like all the adjustments to happen off of that, right? Okay, hey, we're doing this style of pass. If they rob it with this guy, then we can hit it over top with this guy. If they rob it with this guy, we can hit it underneath with this guy. So it's a both and Rob. And again, we're just continuing to work through that.
Last one here with Jeff.
Nick, I just wanted to ask you, you talked about self-scouting, about team identity. What would you say is the identity of your offense and has been through at least the first 5 games? What is the identity you've tried to strive to?
Yeah, again, when you've struggled the way we've struggled the last 2 weeks, it's like, man, that's the question you ask yourself every time. Like, what is our identity? What do we need to do? Those are conversations that we're obviously having in the offensive staff of now, like, it's not like when you first got here, we're like, okay, here's where we are. Let's figure out what we can do. I mean, we have strong convictions and strong feels of what we think it is. Now, do we know 100% what our identity is? No, I don't know. And I don't actually think that anybody in the NFL knows 100% what their identity is right now in Game 6. I think you're still building it, because even the teams that have been together for a long time, right? I don't think pieces change here and here out. Like there's probably a little less, but again, you're growing every day and you're building every day to find out exactly who you are. Do we know a heck of a lot more than what we knew week 1? Of course. Do we know a heck of a lot more than we knew week 4? Of course. And we're getting to those things. Again, we didn't play good the last 2 weeks, so I know how it can look. I get it, guys. Like, it could look like, well, hey, they don't know what their identity is. We are growing. We are finding it out more and more each week. And, obviously we're accelerating that as much as we possibly can to put our guys in the best position we possibly can put them in.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.